you to...
You probably ought to talk with Bob, and the purpose of this call is simply to work out the fact that if we can work out the situation at the National Committee, which of course we have to do, if you will accept the position, and I'd like for you to say yes now so that I have it firm, and then I can go ahead and get the other ducks in a row.
No, that's fine, and he did not call, so I've not talked to him.
Oh, yeah, fine.
Should I if he calls?
No, it was Ehrlichman, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, John Ehrlichman.
That's what I meant. John and call.
Oh, excuse me, I think you meant Bob Dole.
No. Oh, Christ, no. No, I thought Bob Haldeman. No, but the two of them were working on it. No, it was Ehrlichman who was pushed down.
Well,
now, the second point I want to make is this. Frankly, it's unanimous, in my opinion, that they want you. Between you and me, you have a very sensitive problem with Dole. Let me let you in on it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Dole, putting you in these terms, he'd like to stay on 3 or 4 months because he likes the car, and he likes the rent paid and all that. I mean, which is, of course, that's crappy stuff.
Yeah.
But then also he says, well, it would help him in Kansas if he didn't leave right after the election. I said, Bob, if you don't leave right afterwards, and then the sentiment builds up that they need a full-time chairman, I said, then it's going to look as if you were forced out. I said, you've got to take the lead, and you've got to be for a full-time chairman. He says, well, I said that in the previous. And I said, then I brought it around. I said, I don't know, who the hell could we get? And I threw a few, names up like Keith Buhler and others that practically drove him up the wall. And I said, I don't know. I said, the only guy that, I said, now, some people, I said, there's speculation about Bush. He said, oh, he'd be great if you get him. I said, I think so, too. I said, but frankly, I need him in the UN, and he wants to stay in the UN, which is totally true.
Yeah.
So I was not being,
I have no
devious in him. That you wanted to stay in the UN, but I asked you to go. So, as if and when Bob calls you, you were to say, Bob, the president, I said, frankly, I prefer to stay in the UN, but
we got to keep talking.
But I had a talk with him, and on the whole thing, I want to do what the party wants to do, and so forth and so on, and I've agreed to take this. When he told me that you were before it, and he also told me Jerry Ford was for it, just mention those two names, because I also talked to Ford, and Dole will have known that. Haldeman will have called Dole and told him that Ford strongly felt. Now, for your information, of course, Rockefeller is for it. Morton thinks it's great, and so forth. They don't have the slightest idea you'll do it.
Yeah, not talk to any of them.
That's great, and you shouldn't.
Okay.
The thing is that what we need to do to get this properly positioned and to save Dole's face is to let Dole now have a little talk with you, but the point is, Haldeman's going to say that it's done, that you're the choice, and that's the way it's going to be, and Dole is to work it out. But you're
sir?
Huh?
Work it out on timing, Mr. Bishop?
Hell no. The timing is to be the day after the National Committee meets.
I see.
Because I think, and you should tell Dole, because the line I took with him, that Bob will take with him, is that with the Mideast situation there and so forth, we cannot have you lame ducked. And that at the moment that it's known that you're going to be national chairman, and that you're elected national chairman, you cannot stay on at the UN. And that, therefore, it must come on the 20th of January. Period. No, we don't want it one
or Bob, either one?
No, Ehrlichman.
With her.
You've already been with Ehrlichman. They both are on the same wavelength. I mean, you can keep it. But if Bob Haldeman calls you the same thing, remember that it doesn't make a difference. It depends on who. We're working on so many of these cabinet things at the moment. It depends on who's busy at the moment.
One last question, sir.
Yeah.
If this, I mean, now you can tell Dole we made the offer. I'm agreed to accept it. When do you think there will be some public thing? I'm just thinking of how to handle it with all these countries and all that stuff up here. I mean, will that be fairly soon, would you say?
Well, I'm trying to get him, push him, I'm going to have him come to see me next Thursday or so to sort of tell me that he's checked around the country and that he feels you're the man. And then I want him to make it public at that point.
I see.
So that then you can then start, go through your round of parties and all that sort of thing. See my point?
I got it, yes, sir.
And I think that's the best way. Also had a great talk with Ford. Ford is on total wavelength with regard to bringing the Senate and the House Campaign Committee. I touted him off of Johnny Rhodes and on to Bud Brown, who I think, you see, for chairman of the campaign committee.
Oh, I see.
Bud Brown.
I like that.
But he has more balls.
Yeah.
Well, he's younger, too.
Yeah.
You see, and Johnny is sort of parallel. It's a little bit too go-waterish. Don't you agree?
I think so. Bud, was a little critical after the election, but that's all right. I mean, maybe he can do his thing now.
Yeah, that's right.
He was saying, well, Republicans, it was less Republican than he wanted it to be.
That's right, but that's fine.
All right.
Well, we don't know that we'll get him, and if we don't, Barbara Conable's a possibility.
But is Wilson still hanging in there, or is he?
Well, let me tell you for your information, I told Ford in rather direct terms, I said, Bob, Jerry, let me just tell you this. I said, I will work with a Bud Brown, or I mentioned a couple of others. I said, Bud Brown, I even suggested a Steiger, or to get a brand new face in it, but that's too young, or a Barbara Conable. I said, I just frankly will not work with Wilson. I said, he's washed out, and it's not good. You've got to get a new face in order to make this thing go. And he said, I understand. So Jerry is committed.
Yes, sir.
And of course, he's, without knowing that we're going to get you, he's totally committed to you. So this is the important thing. So
I'd rather I not talk to Jerry until this is over. All this stuff is kind of sorted out this week.
I'd wait. No, I'd wait because it'll get out. You see, the thing is, I'd wait till you hear from Dole before you talk to anybody. But remember, with Dole, hardline it.
Yes, sir.
The president has offered it, and you've accepted. The president has said that, and you said that you would take the position, and that you greatly appreciate Bob, just sort of the fact that he's supporting you. And then if you get into the business, and Bob Haldeman will have worked him over before, of the timing, this business is hanging on. If you see it be a great mistake for you to stay at the United Nations,
it might not be able to do it because of the Middle East and this Panama meeting. We got a bunch.
You might not be able to do it because for you as a potential candidate for national chairman, as a man that'd be national chairman, to be up there is just a hell of a mistake. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what I mean is hang tight. Not 30 days, not 60 days. It's that day. And for his own good, he should do it. He just doesn't see it. If you were in his position, I said, Bob, you should leave now. I said, nobody's going to say that you were tossed out at the end. Everybody resigns after a great victory. And that's true, too.
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't you do it?
Well, I think so. I mean, I don't see why I really don't understand it. I don't know him that well, frankly, but it's...
Well, anyway.
And then would the announcement come from you all, or would it come from